wolltest immer schon einmal wissen, was in Gemeinschaften anders läuft und warum immer mehr Menschen in ein Ökodorf oder eine Kommune ziehen möchten? Dann bist du hier genau richtig. Mein Name ist Steffen Emrich und in meinem neuen Podcast Was mit Gemeinschaft möchte ich dich mitnehmen auf meine Reise durch die Welt der Gemeinschaften. Herzlich willkommen zur 3. Episode in meinem Podcast Was mit Gemeinschaft. Vielen Dank für das tolle und hilfreiche Feedback, das ich bereits bekommen habe, und ja, ich hoffe, mit dieser neuen Episode kann ich auch ein bisschen was dazu beitragen, dass ihr ein Bild davon bekommt, was gerade insbesondere in Gemeinschaften, Ökodörfern, Kommunen, Permakulturprojekten in der Ukraine passiert. Der Krieg in der Ukraine geht mittlerweile in die 6. Woche und niemand weiß, wie sich die Situation weiterentwickeln wird. Bereits Ende März, also vor ein paar Tagen, hatte ich das Glück, mit Anastasyia Volkova sprechen zu können. Anastasyia lebt im Ökodorf Zeleni Kruchi, ziemlich in der Mitte der Ukraine. Sie berichtet davon, wie sie die ersten Tage des Krieges erlebt hat und warum in der Ukraine am 24. Februar die Zeit ein Stück weit stehen geblieben ist und was sich alles für sie als junge Mutter, aber auch als Permakultur- und Ökodorf-Aktivistin seitdem verändert hat. Auch dieses Gespräch hat wieder in Englisch stattgefunden.
Hello to everybody. I'm very happy that I have the chance today to talk to Anastasyia Volkova. Anastasyia is a core member of the Gen Ukraine team. She's extremely active, not only since the war started, but also for a long time. We met, I think we met in Estonia the first time. It's like 3 years ago or so. Yeah. And then again in Italy, and we were hanging out together in Hungary at the last General Assembly in November in 2021. But since then, the situation has changed dramatically, not only in Ukraine, but in all over Europe. And from the very beginning, Tasia was extremely active in coordinating the work of refugees within the country, of helping others. So I'm really glad that we have the chance to talk. I'm really glad to see you in a more or less safe place. And thanks that you find some time.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Stefan, for this opportunity.
And I forgot to say, she's not only core team member of Gen Ukraine, you're also head of the Permaculture Association in Ukraine. You live together with your husband, Sergei, and your daughter, Veronica, very young daughter. How old is Veronica right now?
She's 1 year and a half.
So you have to hold quite something as a mother as well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how is life in the moment for you? It's the 26th of March today.
Yeah, more than 1 month of our war. And as we say in Ukraine, we still live in the 24th of February because it's the same every day. We still live in February. Well, I live in my eco village in our community. It is called Zeleni Kruchi. It is somewhere in the middle of Ukraine. Ukraine is a huge country, as France, you can imagine. the same as big as France. And when the war began, on that night, I was in Kiev, in the capital. And we woke up at 5 in the morning because of explosions. And that was something unreal for us, because there were a lot of talks about possible war before these events. Everybody talked about it, but we didn't believe. Nobody believed it. No, we were sure that politicians will serve it. These are only talks. It is not possible in the 21st century in our country to have a real war in our streets. So when we woke up and heard these explosions, it was really something unreal. We didn't have our own car. My parents had a car, but they lived at the other side of Kiev, and Kiev is a very big city. But they came at once as soon as they could. They took my husband, our daughter, and we went to our eco village. It is 140 kilometers from Kiev. Normally it takes 2 hours. That day it took us more than 6 hours to get to our place because there were lots of people who were fleeing the capital, and we spent a lot of time at the gas station to buy some gas for our car. Everybody was stressed, and we didn't know what was waiting for us. But hopefully we have this house in our community, and it is in more or less safe place. We can hear airplanes every day flying above our house. Sometimes we really see missiles in the sky that go in the direction of Kiev mainly. But for present, where we live, it is more or less safe. So that's why I was determined from the very beginning to stay here, not to go to another country, and I hope it will be like this. And my parents stay with us now in our tiny house, and all my neighbors, they host their relatives because everybody tried to leave cities and towns which are under attack. But the countryside, it is more or less safe in Ukraine for present.
But I guess the situation in your eco-village in Zeleni Kruchi also has changed quite dramatically since then.
Yes, of course. Some families decided to flee because some families which have a lot of children, several children, some of them are now in Denmark, in Helgelile, hosted by wonderful Camilla. Others decided to stay, and they host their relatives. And in the houses of those families who left, we also host other people's, even not from our community. These are, how it is called now, internally displaced people. Who were looking for shelters, and we gave them this possibility to live in those houses.
So you're living in your community and you're very strongly connected with other eco-villages or communities or permaculture centers and all over Ukraine. What can you do in such a moment, or what are you doing in this very moment?
Yeah, I was trying to remember how it began, and I can't remember, but already on the second day of the war, our core team of Gen Ukraine and Permaculture in Ukraine, because we have been working together for many years already. So our two organizations is like one now. We had a call and we understood that there were things that we could do, that we were already doing, hosting other people in our communities, because people were looking for it and we had these possibilities to host. So we rather quickly created a list of places that were already doing it, and we started asking about their needs, what they needed, how we as an organization could help them. And we began looking for possibilities to provide them these things. And this was mattresses, blankets, heaters, food, clothes for people. So people who fled towns and cities at that time, and now they come with very little luggage. They just have one bag. They come with their children. Mainly these are women with children. They come to your place. They're stressed. They don't have anything. And you have to provide them this food, shelter, and also like a safe, comfort place. So, and day by day, we developed our this mission, and in several days we already created a map because we understood that it will be easier for people to find these shelters, and we began spreading this map on social networks, on Facebook, on Instagram, in all our ecological organizations chats. And in parallel, our partners from Europe, from Gen Europe, proposed shelters from their side for people who fled Ukraine. So we created also this map, this list of places who were ready to host Ukrainians. So, and it was our daily task, and each day this project became bigger, bigger, and bigger.
It sounds like it's a real job for you, right?
Yeah. When the day when the war began, when we came with my parents, with my husband, with our daughter to our eco village, I had a thought in my mind, well, finally I will have some free time. I will spend it with my daughter, because I was always busy with different projects. But no, now and I have even much more work than before, because we are doing a lot of things. So we are collecting donations, we are distributing these donations to our locations. We now have around 66 locations in Ukraine and around 300 in Europe, but we provide help for our Ukrainian communities, and we apply for all the possible grant support, and we already received some. So we are running this project every day, and it's a lot of work. Hopefully, I have my parents here who can help with my daughter, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible for me to to do this job. But I remember that I had this idea. Finally, I will have some free time, but no.
So the people who arrive at your community at Zeleni Kruchi, do they usually stay for longer, or are they looking really for shelter for a longer period of time, or are they on their way to a border to try to leave Ukraine, or how's the situation at the moment?
It depends on the location. As my community is in the center of Ukraine, mainly people prefer to stay here. So they moved into the houses, and now they organize their life there. But in the western part of Ukraine, most communities, they have a lot of people that are in transit. So they are going to the western border, and they stay only for 1 or 2 days and go further. So they have really huge waves of people crossing these places.
Well, when we meet in this video conferences, or when I hear you talking, I always wonder how you recharge your battery. You have so much energy, and there is so much you're doing for yourself, but mainly also for others. And at the same time, you're a young mother. I mean, this is just being a mother is already enough day work, I guess. How do you do that?
Yeah, especially when your child has your child's teeth are growing, and she wakes up all night long. It was another terrible night, the last one. Coffee and chocolate, unfortunately. Fortunately, we can still find some in our stores, but already it becomes more and more difficult to find chocolate. So humanitarian aid is welcome. Yeah, it's not good for us, yeah, but yeah, it's my reality now. But yeah, another way that I have my own garden. We live in a wonderful nature. When I open the door of my tiny house and go into my permaculture garden, it is also very difficult to combine these two realities. When I look at my garden, there is nothing happening. Birds are singing, nature's waking up, it is springtime, there are flowers. Wow, it's a normal life. But then you look at your mobile phone, you read the news, and every day it's very difficult to combine these two realities. How this could happen in my country, in some 100 kilometers from my place, when I see pictures from Mariupol city that is completely destroyed, understand how many children died and are still dying there. And it is happening in my country. These are my people. When I get news from my friends that I know and all their terrible stories, and I'm a lucky person to still live in my house with my garden, with my family. So that's why I try to do what I can for others.
Sounds like it's a absolutely unreal situation.
It's an unreal situation. Every morning I want to wake up. All the Ukrainians want to wake up. How could it happen in the 21st century, in the middle of Europe? How can it be?
I think one special thing in your community, and you already mentioned that there are quite a few people who actually left to Denmark, to another community. Are you still in contact? And how is this? I mean, there's, on different levels, this community support on one side, but also that, you're kind of remaining where you are and others are leaving. Does this bring any difficult situations with it, or can you understand each other and you're supporting each other, or how do you deal with this?
It's a difficult situation for all Ukrainians now, because there are those who are leaving and those who are staying, and nobody knows what is better. because yes, there are situations when people really their houses are destroyed, they have nowhere to go, so they prefer to go abroad to be in a safe place, and to be in a safe place for sure, so that their children, they don't hear bombs every day, they don't hide in shelters. And sometimes people are just afraid that it will come to their small town, it will come to their village. We don't know. So we will understand what strategy was better only when everything ends. Because I know that it is not easy for people now abroad. It's not a wonderful life there. They are refugees, and they feel it psychologically. It is very difficult, and also they spend their own money. Of course, they are supported by European countries. They are supported by communities. Yeah, but at the same time, they spend also their fundings, and it is difficult psychologically not to be abroad. And but we don't know. Maybe tomorrow a missile will come to my garden, and in that case, it will be their strategy that is best, because they will stay in a safe place. There are two sides, and everybody thinks that he is right, but at the same time, everybody is not sure that he is right. The first days of the war, there were big discussions in my community, because there were other families who now stayed, but who were saying, we have to leave today. It's the last possibility. We have to leave. And there were others who said, no, we have to stay. There were huge discussions. There were really quarrels, because everybody was very stressed. So I was sure that I wanted to stay anyway, but there were people who wanted to go, but they had no possibility to go. Those who had this possibility, they left, but already several days later, they were phoning and crying, why did we do it? We had to stay. So, and it's the same for ecological communities. It's the same for the whole Ukraine now. It's a big tragedy. Another question, why it happens to Ukraine every 100 years, because we had it already. I would say maybe every 50 years, because in the 20th century, we already had several wakes like this of people leaving Ukraine. Why we have this karma, I don't know. Well, so it's like this now. And really, yeah, 3 families from Zeleni Kruchi are now in Denmark, because we had these links before the events. Camila, one day she came to Zeleni Kruchi, and some people went already to Denmark. So they knew that they will be hosted there, they will be in safe place. That's why they chose Denmark. And now we are in connection, because Denmark organizes a big humanitarian aid, and our people from our community, yesterday they helped to load this humanitarian stuff in a truck to be brought in Ukraine. So they continue helping us, those who stay here.
Yeah, thanks very much for your answer, and that you understand the different perspectives. Because I think that's always, there is no right or wrong in such a situation, I assume, but it's so easy to feel lost when the others are leaving, or to judge, or to start blaming each other. While I think it's totally understandable that everybody is afraid and comes up with a different solution for him or herself. And it's good to understand.
I hope that we understand each other, but we understand that everybody will be traumatized, however, after this war. And we'll have to do something with it, heal these wounds.
My dream in such a situation is that the eco-villages are strong enough to be able to also be a part of this healing process afterwards. That's still a long way to go, but there's a place where people can interact and invite others and somehow try to start a healing process. But that's a long way to go.
Yeah, it's a long way, but I also hope that it will be like this, because war, it's an enormous tragedy, but it gave us other opportunities to understand that we can be really these safe centers, safe places, and examples of resilience. Because eco-village people, they are maybe more resilient in a sustainable way. I mean that we have our cellars with products, so we can live with our own needs. We are used to live in simple conditions, and at the same time psychologically we are also resilient, so we are closer to the nature, we are calmer, maybe we have less panic than other people that live in big cities. We know that we can survive and we can share this calmness with other people. And so that's what we are doing already. When other people come, we host them and we try to share with them this feeling that we have our small gardens that will feed us. We are in a safe place, and we stick together. We will help each other, and we will survive like this. And now we want to scale this up to develop what we are doing, and that's why we are now investing already. We are not covering, as Gen Ukraine, as permaculture situation, we are not only covering basic needs of people for food, for mattresses, for all this stuff, but also we look for possibilities to buy small agriculture equipment for people, greenhouses, different tools, like to make small investments in our communities that are needed right now for them to become sustainable and to become points, like places of peace and development in future, because we don't believe in victory. We were sure that it will come. We all hope that it would come quicker. In the beginning, we thought that we were sure that it will take maybe 1 week, but already it's the second month, and now we're not sure when it will end. But we are sure that the victory will come, and our ecological communities will survive. They are resilient, and they will be able to provide even much more support to other people and be centers of peace.
Yeah, thanks very much for this outlook. I was on my way to ask you, are there any, I feel stupid to ask that, but like positive aspects of this situation, but I see your energy and I see your perspective to the future. I personally think there never will be any winners of a war. A war is just, they can't be winners in such a situation. But yeah, we all pray for peace, and it's fantastic to see that you already have the energy to look what's possible afterwards and which role eco-villages can play.
Yeah, and also we see an enormous solidarity in Gen Europe. Because all the countries united, all the national networks of eco-villages united to help us. They opened their houses to host Ukrainians. Now we have almost 300 communities ready to host Ukrainians in all European countries. Every week we have a call with the board members of Gen Europe, and we coordinate this help, what they can do, what we need, and we began feeling ourselves like a real family, like a real network. Yeah, the war is awful, but there are also good things, that people stay strong, stay resilient, and become closer to each other.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And I'm really so happy to see you smiling so often. I mean, when we meet in these meetings and understanding or trying to understand in what a situation you're living, but still feeling and seeing your energy, that's fantastic. Well, we're coming to the end of this talk. You already mentioned there is money needed in certain circumstances. So to my understanding, currently most tools, most gadgets, most things are still available in Ukraine.
Yeah, more or less available. Yeah, we can buy it.
It makes a lot of sense to send money. It's easier to get it in the country than to ship it from somewhere in Europe. And I know that there are also some things you can't get in the moment. We have lists, like in Gen Europe, you always update a list what we need. So we could use money to support you, and in a way to support us for a peaceful Europe. So it's not like we helping you, but it's like us taking care of us, of ourselves. We are living in one world here. And on the other side, any other ways you can think of how we can support each other, how we can support you in Ukraine in the moment?
On a personal level, it was always very difficult for me to ask help. I'm a person like this. No, I can't ask somebody about money. No, I don't need it. But now I'm asking not for me personally, but for all our communities, for what we can do. Yes, it's a obvious thing, but yes, money is what is needed most. Because with this, we can cover the needs of different locations, and they all need different things. Somebody needs to make small restorations to an old house to host more people. Somebody needs to buy some tools for his garden. And somebody needs cost for fuel because he has to go far to buy food or something. Yeah, that is what is needed. Yeah, and please open your doors to Ukrainians, and not only for eco-village people, because we are not so numerous in Ukraine, but there are other Ukrainians that are now in Western Europe. There are lots of them in Poland, and now they are looking for other countries to go because Poland is overloaded. There are around 2 million Ukrainians now in Poland. People prefer to stay there. It's understandable because they can understand more or less Polish, and sometimes, very often, they don't speak other foreign languages. And everybody is sure that the war will end one day or another, and then they will come back. But as the war doesn't end, now more people will go to further countries and look for shelter there. So please open your doors to these people and try to understand them that it's difficult for them also to stay abroad.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this and you have some money to spend, there's an account from Gen Europe. You find the details on the website GEN Global Eco-Village Network -Europe.org. And if you scroll down on the homepage, scroll down a little bit, you find a blog where you find all the details. And it's sometimes easier if we collect the money within Gen Europe and then send a bigger amount to Gen Ukraine, because this tiny money transfers usually take quite some time. And we have a good way to transfer it to the account of Gen Europe, of Maxim's official account. Yeah, it's been taken care of in a good way. And there will be, it's not about salaries or anything. Nobody gets any money on a private level. It's all going straight direct to the aid where it's needed. So, just use this opportunity to support the work of Gen Europe, the Permaculture Network, and all people involved there. Tasia, I thank you a lot.
Thank you
for this conversation, that you took some time on this Saturday morning. But you said, well, Saturday, Monday, it's pretty much all the same since the 24th of February. Anyway, I wish you a peaceful weekend, some time with your daughter. And thanks so much for all the work you're doing for everybody, for the world, I guess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, everybody. I hope to see you all in Denmark this summer at Gen Europe conference.
Ja, ich hoffe, es hat dir gefallen, und wenn du mehr über mich oder über meine Arbeit wissen möchtest, dann besuch gerne meine Website www.procorde.net. Sowohl diese Website als auch die Seiten von Gen Deutschland, Global Eco-Village Network Deutschland und Gen Europe verlinke ich in den Shownotes. Dann bis zum nächsten Mal. Ich freue mich auf dich.